Hello, everybody. This is a short podcast. I don't know why I'm saying it's a short podcast. They're all short. About the April experiment that we're doing on Patreon. So, this is just to, yeah, we're following up on this idea, and this is connected to the February course. But even if you didn't do the course in February, this is still sort of the language that we're using all the time. And the language of transformation that I'm using all the time with our with just where we are at the moment is this idea that our state, so what is going on at a deep level inside you, and you could even call it the energetic evidence of the subconscious. That's what the state is, and the physical embodiment of the subconscious inside your body. So your state is what is determining reality. So it's much more efficient, it's much more time efficient, it's much more energy efficient to bring your focus onto your state rather than the external reality. I heard something the other day. I have absolutely no idea how you could verify this, but that 98% of our decisions are coming from our subconscious. Um, and that's quite interesting because to a certain extent, that just implies that we are not really aware of why we are doing things or what we're doing. I think like the most useful, the most kind of apparent example of that is in relationships. You know, when we are drawn to people who are like uncannily like our parents and who kind of manifest qualities that are often abhorrent to us. I just think that's like such a beautiful comic twist from the universe that we end up uh, in relationships with the thing that we found often hardest to deal with when we were children. And this really is just exemplary of how shadowy elements in us, our subconscious, our unrecognized state, are creating the reality we encounter. So what we're trying to do for this month of April is use that. So recognizing that reality is a result of our state, how can we best use this for our advantage rather than just become victims of fate, victims of destiny? I think it was Jung, I know it was Jung, who said that until we make the subconscious conscious, we will, awful things will happen to us, and we will just label them as fate. Um, so this month, what we're going to try and do is just be aware of the subconscious's power to influence and create reality and intentionally reprogram our subconscious. So, for example, if I have a belief that um, spending money is terrifying, I could, for example, reprogram a belief in this month that, and the belief could just be something as simple as I spend money with joy and freedom, right? So this whole month will be about us trying to get a little bit ahead of reality every day. So you know that you wake up in the morning and you can already be a little bit out of control. You'll wake up with the residue of your dreams. You'll wake up with perhaps whatever stresses are in the air. You could wake up, if especially if you're a sensitive person who tends to mesh quite easily, you could just wake up with the energy of strangers in your body, the energy of your partner, the energy of the city around you. I know myself that I have I'm very sensitive, and I do tend to blend and mesh with the environment around me. And I have to be quite careful of this. I have to be quite careful when I am allowing other energies to run through my body, because quite often then I can become infected by them, you know? And I used to work. in corporate coaching. I used to work with this other woman, and we would go to like these big companies in London and Dublin who had toxic cultures. And we would go in to try and fix it in a couple of days of workshops. And we would always say to ourselves, we'd say, we have to be very, very careful that we don't get infected by the disease here. And sometimes it would happen that you would end up just getting infected by the toxicity that they had. And we would have to be really, really careful when we come out of the workshop to not have that negative energy in certain workplaces in us, because then we were useless. Um, and so, sorry, that was just an aside to just talk about the sensitivities that we have and how we can work with this as well. You know, we are sensitive, and it can be perilous, but it can also mean that we are very easy to reprogram. So the way this course is going to work is every day you're going to give yourself a direction. So I'm just going to give you guys a kind of an example of some of the directions that you might give yourself. You could say this is sort of like an intention or even like a mantra. There's lots of different ways you can describe this, but what we're going to do is we're going to set this direction. You can decide when you want to set the direction. I would imagine that setting it first thing in the morning is the best way to move about it. And then as you go through the day, you just become aware of when you have forgotten that direction or when you have actually like really followed through, when you've really stepped into that direction. So here's just a few examples of what those directions might be. Um, this is one that I do a lot because I have a tendency, I have a lot of Gemini energy. So, and I have a lot of nervous energy in my body. Like this, I used to be an incredibly anxious person, and I still have that kind of bubbly, I need to do it now energy. And sometimes that's useful to harness, and I get a lot, I can produce a lot quickly, but also sometimes it's just, it creates tension in my body. So one direction that I will work with is I move through my days without feeling rush. And that could be it. You just set that direction in the morning, you write it down. I move through my days without feeling rushed. And then at any moment in the day when you notice that you're rushing or you're responding too quickly or you're, eating standing up or, whenever you're kind of at pace, you just come back to that direction and go, no, oh, no, no. I move through my days without feeling rushed. Another one might be something like, my time feels like my own, or I choose how I spend my day, and that feels normal. If you're working with money, it could be something like money comes in and goes out without tension. I think that's beautiful. We just allow money to flow in and flow out. Money is seasonal. It's got nothing to do with your sense of worth in this world. It's just an energy that flows in and flows out, and it aids you when you need it. And when you don't need it, it goes out and it works with other people, right? Another one there might be, I feel supported financially and practically. Something that I've worked with a lot, like a little direction that I work with quite often, is I am safe in the world. Or a very nice one too could be, my world protects me. That's very nice. I tend to use that, especially if somebody approaches me with worry. Again, the danger of infection when you're a sensitive person. If someone is like, "Oh my God, I don't know what's happening in the world," and I simply repeat to myself, "Well, my world protects me." I don't say it to the person because unless it's a very um, close person, they're gonna go like, "What's wrong with this guy?" Um, if it's creativity that you're trying to work on, if that's the direction, you might just say something like, I express myself without overthinking it. You might just say, it might even be simple like, my art is part of my daily life, or or art feels natural to me. And in this way, you normalize becoming someone who is creating. If it's relationships, You might just want to say something like, my relationships feel easy and mutual. I had an argument with my partner last night, and while we were arguing, and this could be something very interesting for you to work with. While we were arguing, um, I was also working on my state. So just a kind of the argument was just really simple thing. It was an argument about integrity. She had said she would do something for me on a certain date, and she hadn't done it. And I wanted to just express, hey, that I was disappointed with this, but that it was, and then, and then she kind of went into a little bit of a program of feeling guilty, and and then my whole thing was I just wanted to say to her, hey, like it, it's okay, um, but this is just, it was important to me, and I feel disappointed. And while the argument was going on, in the background, I was just continuing with this direction, and the direction was, my relationships are easy. And what this did for me is it really kind of helped me to just drop importance. I think maybe at another time in my life I would have got into this, oh, I can't trust you because you don't do what you say. I probably would have got into some narrative of, this person has no integrity. I would have gone into a kind of a character assassination, because an old script in me, a subconscious script in me, is I cannot trust people. So as I just moved through this friction between us, and I just repeated the direction, my relationships are easy. And I felt ease through my body. It's amazing to be in a discussion or an argument with someone where at the same time you feel ease in your body. There's so much clarity. It's really beautiful. It's a really beautiful way to um, engage in conflict with your partner. Um, so another thing you might want to come back to, which I like to come back to too in my relationship, is this direction of, I am relaxed. Because sometimes in the relationship, of course, there can be dependency pulls, and there can be elements of, oh, I'm supposed to do something, or identity, like pits that you can fall into. So when I just come back to this idea of, I am relaxed in my relationships, and this is also my friendships too, it just makes things feel very loving and easy. So these are just some examples, right? And another one that I think we use a lot in our meditations here is the, everything is working out for me. Everything's working out perfectly for me. I love to say that in moments where plans change. I go, oh, plans are changing. The discs are shifting somehow. And I go, ah, but everything is working out for me. So this is just some kind of new direction that's coming through, and I'm just going to relax because I know that everything's working out for me. Your directions can be bad. Just to give you, just to sort of come, just to explain this a little bit more. Like you can give directions that are maybe abstract, or kind of loaded, or a little bit sort of egoic. So something like, I want to be rich, I want to be beautiful, I want my partner to change. These things are not good directions, because they are, um there's a tension already implied in them. The tension is, oh, this thing isn't happening already. There's a lack, right? So you want your direction to just feel very normal, and it's not something that you're trying to achieve. It's just a state that you're going to return to, right? So, so this is how we're going to work it for the month. Is we're going to choose a state, and your state can change. Like as the days go by, you can choose different states, but it's sort of a kind of a baseline that you return to every day. So, for example, if we go with the thing of like everything is working out for me, and you may want to write that down in the morning, you may want to write it down at different points in the daytime. And as you notice fear approaching, as you notice stress developing in your body, try and remember this direction. Everything is working out fine for me. And try and feel it in your body. And as a reminder, it's not a failure when you forget. You're learning to do something very, very different. And your learning will involve forgetting over and over and over again. This is really like the example I think I used in the Discord, no, the Patreon, is the example of teaching a dog to walk on a leash, right? They will pull at the leash, they will eat the leash, they will get tangled in the leash, but now and then they'll walk perfectly by your side and you will marvel at how easy it is. You will go, look at this animal. They just follow the direction so well. Oh my God, like I have the smartest dog in the world. And then a minute later, another dog will walk past, and your dog will get triggered and it will be pulling and yanking at the lead, and you'll feel like you're right back to square one. So this is the kind of the the vision of how the learning develops. There will be moments when you go, ah, I'm flying, and moments when you land face down in the dirt. This is very normal. There's no failure here. Just the very simple act of remembering and catching yourself is already huge because you're bringing awareness to the subconscious. You're shining a light on that giant part of you that most of us never even look at. So take great heart in the moments when you fail, because if you recognize the failure, that's that's all the work, really, recognizing the failure. And that's it. Consistency is important. So just checking in every day, coming up with the direction. I put two posts in the Patreon. Both of them are related to this. The first one is more just like a broad outline, and the second one is how you come to your direction, how you come to this intention. And that's it. We're going to do a check in next Monday. So come along and we'll talk about that. In the WhatsApp group, I will be posting just words and you can respond to that word with an emoji or something. The WhatsApp isn't a place for discussion. In the Discord, there is a place for discussion where you can kind of list the moments where you remembered and the moments you forgot. That's it. It's an experiment. So have fun with it. I think even what could be really nice is to begin to set fun directions. You know, like I quite often a direction for me like that I like to embody is um my world takes care of me. My world takes care of me. So I have lots of loose ends in my life, like parts of my life where I don't know, um, I don't know what's happening there. Like maybe even, uh, I, I own some property, but I also rent other property. And with that rental property, I sort of, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if my landlord will increase the price ridiculously or if something will fall apart. But as long as and in the past, those things would have kept me up at night, maybe even financially. There's like the work that I do. I have months where I do quite well and months where I really don't make anything. And that's fine because I keep coming back to this expression, this direction of my world takes care of me. And it's quite beautiful because then I move through my day almost waiting, with this sense of, oh, I wonder how I'm going to be taken care of today. I wonder what great news will come my way because my world takes care of me. So, what might present itself? And this direction, for example, brings me a lot of joy. It also helps me to drop all importance when it comes to stressful things. So, yeah, really experiment with your directions this month and have a lot of fun with it. And I'll talk to you all soon. And if you've questions about this, just stick them below. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.